Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Monday. Welcome to another week of distance learning. I trust that you had a wonderful Mother's Day, and hopefully many of you had shared the little flower drawing that we had created for Mom, and I hope she enjoyed that. And if she did, wonderful. I'd love to hear from you. If your mom truly appreciated that, shoot me a little message on Google Classroom. I would really enjoy hearing your story about how the whole Mother's Day gift exchange with the art sketch worked out for you. But here we are back to our two-dimensional sketch of a three-dimensional object. And this is our wooden mannequin friend. Here's my model from which I will be sketching the remainder, or at least most of the remainder, of the wooden figure. So let's get started, okay? There's my number 2 pencil. There's my blending stump if I need that in spots. There's my eraser in case we make any little marks that we don't want to stay on the page. And there's my trusty ruler, okay? So I left myself some reminders the other day as I'm adding some darkness to the left side of my mannequin there. I may dabble in a bit of pointillism, and I also may show off a little bit of cross-hatching. I hope we're still recording. I think we are, because I got a little message that, I don't know, one of my applications stopped working on my tablet, but I think we're okay. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. At the bottom of the torso, I'm going to go with 2, I don't want to call them half circles, maybe 3/4 of a circle to begin the legs. From these spheres, or these 3/4 spheres, we will draw some guidelines, and those guidelines will help us locate the lower half of our figure. So let me tilt it a little bit sideways. Here's what I meant when I was mentioning a shading technique known as the crosshatch. Okay, let me lift this paper up so you can see that my hatch marks are horizontal in nature. What I'm going to do with the crosshatch is intersect them in a diagonal manner, and many artists use that as a unique way of adding darks and lights. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's a cool little tool to put in your artistic toolbox there, okay? I feel like this video is getting a little glitchy because my tablet is just, it's recharging. So I apologize for any little interruptions there. I'm going to put our standard little plus sign there, representative of kind of like a Phillips head screw tip that holds this whole mannequin together. To make sure that we have enough room for the remainder of our mannequin, I'm going to bend these guidelines and angle them out just a tad. Just a tad. And I'm going to draw them at about 2.5 inches, although that might be a little bit long. So I'm going to cut them back, erase them back just a little bit. It's probably just over 2 inches. It is. Okay, so 2 inches is here, and our line might be about 2¼ inches, 2.25. So the 1/4 inch is right about here. Okay, so just over 2 inches or so. Okie doke. And what I'm going to do is what we've been doing before. I'm going to put a small little sphere on that end point there. And this little sphere will represent the midpoint to the leg, kind of like the kneecap, if you will. Okay, and the spheres are smaller than the upper portion of the leg, kind of like where the wrists are. That's about the size. Maybe a teeny bit smaller. Okay, but very, very similar. And let's put a little Phillips head plus mark there. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll go with a little bit of traditional shading on that side, and I may even smudge it up with my blending stump. Okay, let's build out the thigh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the guideline here, and I am going to keep in mind that the top of my tubing here is a little wider than the bottom. And I'm just simply wrapping the tubing around the shape of the sphere. A little wider at the top, little narrower at the bottom. Okay, wrapping around the edge of the sphere. I'm looking outside my studio. Looks like a cloudy day. But I think the good news is it's supposed to get warmer this week. So hopefully you kiddos are getting out and about, enjoying some fresh air. It's always good for the heart and the soul and the mind. So get on out and take in some fresh air. And that'll help you through your day. Keep you busy and occupied and happy and energetic. And let's put a little shadow on one side here where the light is not. And let's smear and smudge that together and make it look real professional. Okay. Now, before we go to the bottom of the leg, let's put a dangling hand in on each side, because I think I had mentioned to you that if your arms were dangling off to the side of your body, the tips of your fingers would hit about mid-thigh. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for here. And what I did was kind of started with a bit of a hook representing this wooden mannequin's hand, the back of the hand. And connected to the hoof is this oval shape. And it kind of reminds me of, the bottom of like a horse's hoof. Because if I can show you the mannequin here, that's what the hand is like. It's rounded on one side and flat on the inside. Okay, so I'm trying to make mine look very, very similar to that, and I'll just put in some shadows. There'll be a little shadow on the flat part here because it's tight in close to this particular thigh. Okay. So there you have the hands, and don't worry about a particular placement of those hands. Wherever they end up, that's where they're going to be. Okay. Here I go again. Moving my pencil around other particular areas that I feel need some fixing up. It's a continuous journey, what we artists do each and every day. It's a never-ending thing, huh? Refining our art and honing and perfecting our craft. All right, let's draw the bottom portion of the leg here. Again, I'm going to go a little over 2 inches with my guideline. Okay, so there's one side, and here's the other side, a little past 2 inches. Oops, I went a little long on that one, sorry. Let me fix it up. Yeah, that's better. Okay, a little past our 2-inch mark. And don't worry if your legs aren't exactly the same size. As long as they're close, it's okay. Even when people go to the chiropractor, one leg is usually a little bit longer than the other. Put a little sphere at the bottom. That will be for the ankle. All right. Let's put a tube in for the shin, the lower half of the leg. And we'll probably make these lower halves of the mannequin's leg today's stopping point. Because I'm looking at the video, we're past 14 minutes already. There's a little timer on there that keeps me from talking too much. I mention it all the time. I could talk and teach all day. Okay. Putting these pieces together always reminds me of like body armor that a stormtrooper might wear, or a medieval knight in shining armor. Again, we're taking shapes, basic shapes, and giving them form. And I hope you're having fun. I am. It's always fun for me and a joy for me to pass on the little bit of artistic knowledge that I have to you kiddos. Alright, so, in our next video, I'll refine this some more. But before we sign off for the day, let me mention that moving forward, if you like, you can explore yet another way of adding shadow. This is the pointillism that we had mentioned in an earlier video, whereas artists place tightly arranged little dots or points next to each other, and those little dots and points, when so tightly packed together, give the impression that there is a dark side to a particular object. Okay, so there's all the tightly packed points and dots there. It's called stippling sometimes, pointillism. Sometimes people call it very simply dot art. So yet another little trick to put in your bag of tricks. Okay, kiddos, well, I hope you enjoyed today's drawing lesson. Most of our mannequin is in place. We'll meet up again tomorrow, and I'll give you some more little ideas in terms of finalizing things, and then we'll talk more throughout the week how we're going to try and make something three-dimensional in terms of a figure this week. I think you'll enjoy that. Okay? So until next time, this is Mr. K, your art teacher, wishing you happy drawing, and I hope you have a tremendous day. Thanks, kids. Bye now.